All right, everyone, welcome back to the Golf Unfiltered podcast. It's the entire GU team today. I'm Adam. That's Nikki. That's Dan. Hi, are you all doing? Wow, that was good. How are you two?
That was good talking there.
Mm-hmm.
You should do a podcast. We're good. We're good.
Good.
Hanging in there.
So, Dan, congrats to you as well on your separate podcast that you do outside of here for being named to a very prestigious. It's not an award, but it was a designation, I believe. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about it?
Yeah, so it gained a nominee for an award at a film festival in the industry that's going to be held, I believe, in Philadelphia. What are we? August 28th today. So I think in like 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, it's exciting. In fact, just before we hopped on to do this, I was recording episode 20 this morning. So I know we're not anywhere near GU numbers yet as far as how many we've done, but that was a cool little milestone for us. So we did a little listener Q&A episode today. And so that will be out on Wednesday, like always.
Excellent. What's the name of the podcast?
The Addiction Help Podcast. And so we're currently working on that. And then there's some talks in the works, especially with everything that's been going on in the sports world with gambling as of late, especially now we see it creeping into college athletics. We're talking about branching off and possibly doing a one based just in the sports world between, like I said, all the gambling stuff and everything else going on. There's no shortage of addiction related topics kind of happening in the sports world these days. So that is a potential one coming up soon. So I'll have more information about that as it becomes available, but a little teaser there.
Nice. Well, go out and subscribe to that, folks. If you're listening to this, go support Dan. Nikki, how are you? It's been a while since we chatted. We talked about Barbenheimer last time that we were on together. Yeah. And you survived the heat down in the ATL. Everyone was talking about how hot it was at Eastlake.
Yeah, it's toasty, that's for sure. Thankfully we have a little bit of a cold front coming through. With some rain, we're getting the little outer bits of the hurricane that's about to hit Florida, but
right,
to cool us down some. Yeah, my pool is like 91 degrees. Like, I mean, it was like a hot tub. It wasn't even refreshing. Yeah, it was hot. It was toasty, but we stayed indoors. My power bill is going to be a wee bit high, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think
I tried to get in my pool on Saturday and it wasn't even enjoyable. Like Nikki's saying, I think my pool's like, it's hotter than the hot tub right now, or almost as hot, so it's just kind of like, ew. I don't know. I know, I'm sure there's people all around the country right now that are probably super mad at the two of us because they're like, what do you mean you don't even want to sit in your pool? But I'm telling you right now, in this part of the country, it's not even enjoyable to be sitting in it.
I could only imagine, and I know that we had some heat up here in Chicago too, and it's moved on. We've got that cold front coming in too, and so it's a little bit better. I've actually got a hoodie on today, so that's nice. But hopefully, Dan, you stay safe down there with that hurricane coming, and all of our listeners down in Florida as well. Certainly, we don't want to have any bad reports from the Hauser household. So please keep us informed of what's going on. And just as a quick side note, as a reminder, I need to be better at this. We are powered by Bridgestone Golf, and Dan's got the Bridgestone hat on. So thanks to our friends down there as well. Speaking of hot, how's this for a segue? The golf was hot down in Eastlake for the Tour Championship. Viktor Hovland being the second back-to-back winner in 4 weeks, with Lucas Glover, of course, being the one previous to that. And, guys, I didn't watch a ton of the golf, but I know that this was the culmination of a really interesting year on the PGA Tour, to say the least. We have talked about a lot of these topics throughout the year, but first things first, and Nikki, I'll start with you. Being near your hometown, Eastlake has been the spot for the Tour Championship for many years. Any takeaways from the tournament, including young Viktor's amazing win?
Yeah, I think one, it's always fun to me to see friends of mine and people that I know who don't really follow golf, or at least don't follow it the way that I do, because I'm a sicko, who always end up going to the tournament at Eastlake and are always posting like that they're there and stuff, and so it's always fun kind of see that. It was very, very cool to see when they were posting the year that Tiger won, because they're all posting and stuff like, I can't believe I was here and Tiger won. And I'm like, but you didn't even follow the rest of the season. But yeah, I mean, it's great that it's here. I love that it's like, because it's kind of, I don't know, we get the Tour Championship and like we get Augusta's right up the road. So I don't know, I kind of feel like I get the best of it. But yeah, I mean, the big downside is that it's so hot. It's always so hot. I felt bad for Rory. I know he wanted to go out there and play his best, and I think he did the best that he could. I know everybody was saying, like they expected, oh, I don't even think he's going to play. I think he's going to withdraw. I don't think that we were going to see him withdraw. Not on that stage at that point. I know we already had some conversations and controversy about him withdrawing at Harbour Town the week after the Masters, but like that's Harbour Town, right. That's not the Tour Championship where he's defending his title. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. My only other thought about it is I can't believe that Viktor Hovland doesn't already have a major.
Right.
I think this was long overdue. And he's such an easy person to root for. I feel like it's hard to root against him. It's like the only way I would have rooted against him is if like he's up against maybe Tiger, right. There's not really anybody that you want to see him lose to,
Yeah. He's one of those nice guys on tour. And Dan, I know that you watched a lot of the action as well, or at least, we paid close attention to it. I mean, any takeaways from your point of view?
Yeah, I think to what Nikki said, it's interesting to me. Watching Viktor Hovland is still interesting from the standpoint of, to his own admission, as of even just a couple months ago, his game wasn't fully rounded. There were parts of his game where it was like to his detriment, essentially. What was it? His short game, putting a little bit.
Yep.
So it was along the lines of like, well, yeah. So it was along the lines of like, he's a great, listen, if you're on the PGA Tour, obviously you are a top 1% of the golfer, but it was like, is he going to be able to come together, put all the pieces together to become one of these transcendent, historical Rory McIlroy, Tiger Woods type golfers? And like Nikki mentioned, he still doesn't have a major yet. I think these last 2 weeks answered the question of yes, he absolutely will become one if he isn't already one. I think that these last 2 weeks have already put him into that next echelon of level of golfer. And yeah, basically at this point, it's not a if, it's when. And I think that the when he's going to get a major, it will be in 2024. Like he will absolutely win a major this upcoming season, if not multiple. So I think that as long as he can kind of whatever he found and whatever clicked in his game over these last 2 weeks, if he can somehow figure out a way to I feel like anyone in the world who plays golf says this, but if he can figure out a way to kind of bottle that and keep that going, I don't know if he'll be the Jordan Spieth type where he's going to come out of the gate and win a bunch of majors like immediately and then kind of cool off, or if he's just going to kind of just slowly and steadily just keep it going. But I think we now have to put him in that kind of next level category of the John Rahms and the Rory McIlroys and the Scotty Schefflers and the, on tour of the current kind of group as far as where he kind of sits in that tier or that hierarchy.
A lot of big things you just said in there. A lot of big things. I'm going to say, all right, Dan Hauser, you heard it here first.
I'm going out hot. Last one of the season or whatever. Let's just throw all the hot takes out.
Viktor Hovland, major championship in 2024.
Adam's like marking that down. So he
I
can go
literally
back and
have a pen.
Yeah, fine, yeah.
Literally.
Feel free to send that over to Old Takes Exposed just in case I'm wrong, but let's do it.
Well, there we are, folks. Nikki, you had something?
I know. I was just going to say, speaking of Scotty, he even talked about this too, about the way that the Tour Championship is set up and the like point advantage that you have going into it. He talked about in the beginning about how he didn't like it. And even though he was on the advantage, and even that advantage didn't help him, like he blew it. And to be honest, that worries me a little bit going into the Ryder Cup. Like he had a massive point advantage and then still lost it. Like Colin, yes, Colin is on the American team, but still, Colin shot a 9 under on the first day to like massively like reduce that gap. And like, I mean, and Viktor shot what, a 7 under on the first day? I mean, so still, like, I don't know, that worries me a little bit going into the Ryder Cup, knowing that Scotty is on our team. He's supposed to be one of the most steady and consistent people. And then you come around to Saturday, Sunday, and Scotty's putting up double bogeys, like he put up multiple double bogeys this weekend. Like that does not make me feel good going into a Ryder Cup where Viktor Hovland just won back-to-backs. Like,
and that brings up a good point too when you mentioned Scotty Scheffler. Like prior to the start of the playoffs, and then now I feel like when Lucas Glover going back-to-back, and now Hovland going back-to-back, kind of made everyone forget about it. But like the seasons overall that Scotty Scheffler had and Jon Rahm had, those are the two that are probably going to be the front runners to win Player of the Year. And over the last month, I feel like the entire golf world as a whole has just completely forgotten that they like even exist. Like nobody talked about, and obviously nobody talked much about Rahm this week because he didn't have a great week, but like, it's almost like, are we just going to forget about the year that he had? I mean, it's a calendar. The tour likes to promote this whole, we go full calendar year. Okay, great. Well, over an entire calendar year body of work, like I'm not sure that anyone had a better overall body of work calendar year than Jon Rahm. And like, nobody's talking about him anymore now. Like
in my opinion, I don't think for Player of the Year, I don't think that you should win it. If it comes down to like two people, like Rahm and Scotty, I don't think that you should go with the person who didn't win a major in that year. I think that I'm not saying that every Player of the Year has to have won a major, but I think that should, if you're talking about two different people for Player of the whole year, one of those people won a major and one of them didn't, the one who won a major should be Player of the Year. Like
I would agree with that, especially in this year too. I mean, with Rahm winning 4 times, and to go back to Scotty and Nikki, it's something that you had brought up. I saw this recently. I think it was on X. Scotty Scheffler scoring average 68.6, which is the 7th lowest of all time. Want to guess who has the other 6? Tiger. Tiger has the other 6. And imagine if Scotty could putt. Just imagine if he could putt, how low that scoring average would be. And Nikki, to your point, I mean, even on the opening round when he had that lead going in, as the format suggests for the FedEx Cup, I mean, he triple bogeys 15, I believe it was. And I agree with you. I mean, Chris McEwen, our other friend of GU, and I did a podcast last week talking about different topics, but we dabbled in the Ryder Cup discussion. I am telling you right now, Dan, you're making proclamations of major victories in 2024. I'm telling you right now, Europe is winning the Ryder Cup this year. I do not see how there is a team that can beat Europe. You got Viktor, you've got Tommy Fleet. Who wants to play these guys? Who are you going to put them up against? I mean, we've got the Ryder Cup captain's picks for the U.S. coming up. I believe, is it today or tomorrow? I think Zach Johnson has to do them tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah. Today was the Solheim Cup, I think.
That's right. The Solheim, which is also next month there in Spain, which is extremely exciting, by the way. I can't wait to watch that. Those are some matches that are just absolutely fantastic to watch. The Solheim Cup. I remember when they had it here in the Chicagoland area, just as a quick aside. That was so much fun to watch, and I am looking forward to that by far. But yeah, I'm as far as Ryder Cup goes, Europe is going to be hard to beat for a lot of the reasons that we said. Nikki, you made a face when I made the Europe call.
That makes my stomach churn. I hate it. I hate it so much.
But you know what though? Find me a true world beater that hasn't already received an AQ, on the American side. Like, so for those six captain's picks, I mean, okay, Brooks aside, maybe the fact that we're even talking about whether or not Justin Thomas should be in there, I think goes to show the lack of dominance, you could say, as far as Zach Johnson's choices on captain's picks go for this particular year.
Listen, I have said it before and I will say it again. I am ride or die for Justin Thomas.
God bless you.
But do not send that man to Italy. If you want to send him to Italy, send him with some USA flags and a sweater to sit in the stands. Let him be the guy that's tossing the beers down to everybody else. But
there's your proclamation.
I know.
Him and Michael Jordan can just be the cheerleaders on the side. I don't even know if Michael Jordan's going to be around. He's too busy racing boats these days.
Did Nikki just put Justin Thomas on a do not fly list?
I think she did. Did.
Do not let this man get on a plane.
Let him go and be Brooks's babysitter.
You're killing Dan. I love it.
I say that with all love. You guys, I wish in all of my heart that Justin played better this year. It kills me that he played so bad. Watching every time a square went up on his card, it was like a knife in my heart. I hated it. That being said, I do not want the US to lose. That is why I hate Ian Poulter as much as I do, because I remember that loss and I hold grudges. I hold them hard. I have not forgiven Urban Meyer for leaving Florida and then 6 months later going to Ohio State. I have not forgiven Tom Brady for Super Bowl 51.
There it is. I was waiting for that
and
one.
I will never forgive Ian Poulter for that Ryder Cup. I hold grudges.
Attention, people out there, do not do Nikki dirty on things, or else she'll never forgive you ever, ever, ever.
I need my pen again.
Yeah, right.
To write this stuff. All right. So yeah,
no to any teams that are going to play the Braves in the playoffs. Don't do Nikki dirty.
No.
Ticketmaster.
The
Eras Tour. They're on that list too.
It's been a thing. Yeah, I would agree with JT. Not being on the team, at least. Certainly I agree. If he needs to go down there to be a ping pong partner or something in the locker room, that's fine. But who do we put in then? I know we're kind of transitioning to that discussion, which is timely, but I think Brooks makes it. I think it's a smart move to put him on. I don't care about any of the other drama. It's just he's good in the Ryder Cup. JT also a good record, but he just hasn't done enough compared to others to make his way on that team. Who do we put on this team now? I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of names we could say, but if not JT, who would make more sense?
If you're going to go with the pure ride the hot putter mentality, I think you have to give Lucas Glover a spot.
I agree.
I don't think that there's been anyone on the American side who has been hotter the last month than Lucas Glover. So if we're going to go by the "what have you done for me lately" mentality that typically comes with these captain's picks, then he's got to get one. I think you give Brooks one. I know there are people pointing out the last two live events he didn't play particularly well, but he also had a child in the NICU.
That's correct.
Major season was over. So for somebody who famously says he only gets up for the majors, and on top of that, he's got to be away from home, which whole nother argument for a whole nother time. The whole spend more time with your family unless there's a
Right.
contractual obligation keeping you away from your newborn in a NICU. But I think when you factor that in, like you kind of have to throw those two results out the window as far as him not looking all that sharp. To be after those two, I don't know. I mean, I feel like at that point you just kind of just pick a random name out of a hat because, like you said, I can't see anybody on that list truly being able to have an impact against this European side. So I don't. I think we might end up with a rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic situation as far as the rest of them go.
Are we forgetting how Ricky Fowler played in the U.S. Open?
That's a good one.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, I think his name deserves to be in contention. Like his scorecard on Thursday and Friday at the U.S. Open was phenomenal. I mean,
Yep.
And Saturday, and Ricky's a very marketable person, and I think that matters when it comes to the Ryder Cup. I think recognition and people who are there cheering you on, knowing who you are, matters in a team event like that. I think that matters. And throwing somebody out there like Wyndham Clark, who they're going to be like, who's that guy again? Who's that? What's his name? Like, oh yeah, go guy. Like
Wyndham, hotel.
Right.
Yeah. And
for sure.
To be honest, fans who are paying to fly to Rome, they're going to know who Wyndham Clark is. So yes, that's just a joke. But
right.
I still think fans who are paying to fly to Rome are going to be more invested if it's Ricky Fowler than if it's Wyndham Clark.
Totally agree. And what's interesting about this conversation is we've got late breaking news that literally just hit Twitter, and I'm going to bring it up on the screen here. So The Guardian is reporting that Zach Johnson will pick JT and Ricky Fowler as part of his captain's picks tomorrow, per this journalist from The Guardian. Koepka, Spieth, and Morikawa are also getting a pick, or at least that's what the rumor is. So I don't know anything about that journalist. It literally just hit Twitter right now. I'm going to say this. If JT gets picked, he did some hardcore campaigning to ZJ to get on that team. I completely agree with Ricky being a pick. If this is true, of course, again, if you're watching this on YouTube or listening on audio, we don't know if this is confirmed yet. But Ricky Fowler having the background at Ryder Cup. Yeah, go ahead.
So they're saying over Brooks? Like Brooks's name is not in
No, Brooks is one of them too. Yeah.
Looks like Koepka, Spieth, Morikawa.
Oh, Koepka. Okay, sorry, I missed his name there. Okay,
Ricky, and then JT, and then there'll be one more still to go. Yeah, so you'd have to imagine. You have to assume that Lucas Glover is going to get that 6th spot, but we'll see what happens.
Or Keegan.
Keegan. You know what? That's a good one too. Keegan's going to go tackle JT at the airport and keep him off that flight.
And again, I want to be clear. We don't know if it's true or confirmed or anything of that, but it is coming out now. And I mean, I will be shocked if that is true and JT's going. I don't understand. I completely agree, Nikki, with your points on it. I mean, that is something. I mean, the guy hasn't played well in months.
If they really wanted him in the team room bad enough too, like there'd be nothing stopping Zach Johnson from giving JT the Bubba treatment, make him an honorary extra assistant captain. And then he's still in the room. He's still in there. He's still hanging around everyone, but you don't have to stick a golf club in his hands, which is like the worst thing you can do right now for him. Like
it's gotta just be,
let him be the hype man.
You've got experience playing in a Ryder Cup, in a team event, and you've got good camaraderie and friendship with the people who are already there. And so you know how to work as a team, whether we put you with Jordan, whether we put you with Colin, whether we put you with Max Homa, there's multiple people that they could put him with who will carry him, that he meshes well with and his experience and team spirit can help carry that. Like that's got to be the only thing that is kind of.
Yeah,
no matter how much you try to stash him on the bench the first couple days or stick him with somebody that can help cover up his flaws. I mean, he's going to have to go out Sunday and play singles against somebody on the European side. So, you know, I mean, yeah, sure. You can stash him on the bench and do whatever you want to try to hide his flaws Friday, Saturday, but Sunday he's out there. I mean, there's no way around him having to play on Sunday against somebody.
Yeah, I mean, that might be one of those things where, like you said, Dan, I mean, he goes out Sunday, of course, everyone's got to play, but then maybe one other match. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
maybe depending on the score, maybe you send him out either first or last Sunday and hopes that his Sunday round won't end up mattering at the end.
Yeah.
And his name's on the list from a pure marketability standpoint because he's Justin Thomas.
Yeah.
And
is he back with Ralph Lauren?
He's with Grayson.
I mean, he'll be with Ralph Lauren for the Ryder Cup here, but yeah, no, he's not on a day-to-day. Yeah, he's with Grayson.
Okay, that's right. Well, that kind of threw me for a loop. I was actually going on X to look at something different, and that came up, and I was like, "Oh,
it's wow. Ralph Lauren."
I'm sorry, you're right.
Ralph Lauren. Where are you from?
You
I don't know. I know. We're the worst, honestly.
I'm probably saying it very wrong. I know I'm Southern.
I honestly don't even know. Now that you
Ralph Lauren? You guys know Ralph Lauren?
All right. Well, obviously, stay tuned to at Golf Unfiltered to learn a little bit more about any of that. And of course, you could probably see it anywhere else on social to deter. If that's true, we'll know for sure tomorrow. One of the things, and I'm looking at the clock here, one of the things that the three of us are certainly interested in is fantasy football. As much of the, I would say the world, certainly the United States, but the world is involved now with the NFL being a global game. We are in a fantasy football league. I will say this too. This is a league that I threw together really quickly because we've got some first timers that I know that had never done it before. And I said, you know what, let's just do an easy one. You two are nice enough to join as well. And so we've got Chris in there as well. Nikki, I believe Jonathan is in it. And I think we've got a few others as well. Fantasy football is always, this is the first time I've played fantasy football in a long time. I kind of gave it up. I got bitten by the sports book bug, and I need to take a little bit of a step away from that. and I'm just going to leave it at that. And
listen to Dan's podcast.
I listened to Dan's podcast. Yeah. You know what it is?
True gamblers know.
Yeah. And you know what it is? Honestly, Dan, you'll appreciate this. I started reading Billy Walters' book, Gambler.
Yep. That'll do it. That's a wake-up call.
I can't.
Itself right there. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole other episode, but I can't with it was just the stuff that he's gone through. But anyway, fantasy football, one of the big things about fantasy football is you get to pick your name. And it's always a really, really fun time for me. And I know it is for you as well. And Nikki, you and I were talking a little bit beforehand. Fantasy football team names is kind of an art, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it is. And I will caveat this by saying I've got a few ideas written down here, but I'll go ahead and say if there's several different platforms you can use when you do fantasy football. There's some ESPN, there's CBS, there's one called Sleeper, which is a new one that's pretty popular. And ESPN very recently made it to where you cannot make a team name that has certain words.
Yeah.
Like even like, for example, if you're going to do like punt, kick, and pass, it will not let you make that team name because the word pass, the last three letters of the word pass are a bad word. And ESPN's algorithm flags that and says that this has a banned word in it. So even when you're trying to be clever and do like puns on words and stuff, it won't let you do it. If you're in like a league where your team name already has that word in it and it has been that for like years and years and years, don't change your name because then you won't be able to change it back to that. So
yeah, you'll never get it.
For example, my team name in our family dynasty league is as the only girl in the league, my team name is Pass in TDs. So I cannot change my team name because of the ESPN rules that they have around team names. So
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I came up with some names that kind of cross with football and with golf that if you're a golf fan and you want to you have a fantasy football team and you want to share that you're a golf fan too, you could be weapons of grass destruction or turf destruction, because that works for both.
Like it.
Yep. This really only works if you're like a Philadelphia Eagles fan, but you could, a fan of Eagles, because if you're a fan of the Eagles and also a fan of getting Eagles on the course.
There you go.
This one is Augusta specific, but Amen cornerback.
Oh,
I like that one.
That one's neat.
Yeah, that one's neat. This one's cheesy, but a fantasy football team unlike any other. Very Augusta-like, but
nice. Character limits might be an issue on that one, but I like it nonetheless.
Yeah, I don't really know what the character limits are in some of these team names, but try it out.
You could do long drive. Long drive works for both golf and
yes,
football.
Yeah, long drive. Yeah, that's a good one. Crew Kupka's babysitter. That's a good one. You could change it out. You could do Sammy Spieth's babysitter. You could do what is John Rahm's son's name? Kepa Rahm's babysitter. Like, pick your favorite player and their kid. You could do Charlie Woods' babysitter if you really want. Like, that would be funny. I doubt he has a babysitter anymore, but that might even make it funnier.
That's usually a little awkward in that house, I think.
Yeah. And then the other one that I think is really funny is, Live Golf's their like slogan is golf, but louder. You could take the team name of like your nemesis in the league and do like whatever their team name is, but louder.
Nice.
So
I like that.
To because the Live is the nemesis of the PGA Tour, so you could be the nemesis of the other team in the league. It only really works though if other people in your league understand golf and they know what Live Golf is, because otherwise they're going to be like, "What the heck is that?"
Nikki's team name in our league now has to be Patriots, but louder. Like,
oh,
get that reference.
Tom Brady, but louder.
Yeah. The fact that Nikki and I
louder.
The fact that Nikki and I are able to even like be friends is
I
don't understand, but I'm glad that we are.
We don't speak about it.
We don't talk about it. That's one of those things you don't talk about.
Yeah.
Those are good ones. I really like the Augusta themed ones, and I think those kind of transcend. There's always those tournaments, and certainly Augusta, the Masters is one of them, where even the casual passing golf fan will recognize it. I feel like those are really good ideas there. Dan, are you excited for fantasy football? I know Nikki is, but Dan, are you going to win this thing or what?
Fingers crossed. I've had a pretty good run the last couple of years of either placing like top 3 or straight up winning at least one of my leagues. So hopefully that continues this year.
Yeah, what I'm nervous about is we're doing CBS, and I wasn't aware that there are 2 different CBS platforms. So one is the paid version, and the other one is the one that we're doing, which is the free version, which I have like 0 commissioner capabilities, which is probably not a bad thing, honestly. But my wife does her work, who's also in our league. She does her work fantasy league through the paid one, which has so many more features. And what did you say, Nikki, was the new popular one? Sleeper? Is that the new one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one I caught my eye after we had already created this league. And are you in a sleeper league?
No, but my husband is. He's in a sleeper one, and honestly, ESPN seems to be the standard that just lets you do.
And Yahoo
everything.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about Yahoo. Yeah.
You know what's going to happen, Adam, in this league we're all in, right? Because you got some first timers in there this year. We all know how this is going to end. A first timer is going to win the league, and it's going to be completely just like randomly by accident almost. And then it's just going to be like, why do we even do this? And then, it's like golf. It's like, why do we do this? And then we still keep coming back every year anyway. So
absolutely. Well, we have our draft on Wednesday night. So I'm interested to see how it's going to go. I'm sure my phone's going to be ringing off the hook from like my sister's in it, my brother-in-law's in it, and we're going to, it's going to be one of those things. But at any rate, I'm going to say this right now. If my team wins, I'm going to talk to our friends at Bridgestone. We're going to give something away, something big too, to whomever. And I don't know what that is because I haven't even called them, and they don't even know that I just made this proclamation. But if that happens, I'll do that. But it'll be fun. I'm ready to get back into the swing of things. I love the we're a Red Zone family. We will watch that for 7 uninterrupted hours or however long it is. Scott Hansen, he's a member of the family at this point. So I'm looking forward to it.
That man does the Lord's work for 17 Sundays a year. No bathroom breaks, no nothing. He truly does the Lord's work.
Is that true? He doesn't go to the bathroom once?
So from interviews that I've heard him do, it's only in a case of an absolute emergency. And then sometimes he'll throw to a game and they'll stay there for like an extra minute or two for him to come back. But yeah, there's no built-in bathroom breaks. So it's only in a case of an absolute, like, I can't hold it anymore emergency. And he talks about how Sunday mornings leading up to 1 p.m., he eats certain foods and drinks certain things that will basically keep him from having, that basically keeps, an accident essentially from happening. But yeah, that man, bladder of a champion, does the Lord's work every Sunday for us for 7 straight hours. And I'm excited for Red Zone for sure.
That is a kidney stone waiting to happen. I feel, I feel sorry for Scott Hansen. Anyway, all right, folks. Well, we're going to be back too. And by the way, we'll be doing a lot more episodes on different topics as well. Nikki and I were talking about some other things that we want to try. Dan and I have come on and we've talked about a few things as well. And so be sure to subscribe to us. Be sure to follow us all over social media at Golf Unfiltered. And you may see some different tastes coming in as far as the different types of episodes. And you can find us on BLEAV.com. It's Believe is the way that you pronounce it, but it's BLEAV.com. That's our new platform. They've been great partners so far, so thanks to them as well. And the final thing I'll say is thanks to everyone who continues to read anything that we write, listen to anything that we put out. And even if it's all the bad takes that I spew sometimes out of my mouth, at least we got Nikki and Dan who can keep me on the right path here. We continue to see some growth at Golf Unfiltered, which is great. I mean, you're looking at us. It's the three of us. We don't have anyone else that helps us out. A lot of times we don't get the same content sharing that perhaps other sites do, but you know what? We like it that way. We like doing what we're doing. So thanks to you two as well, Nikki and Dan. You guys have made this a lot of fun.
Yeah. Sure thing. Absolutely. And I think next week we should come back with some ideas for whoever, if one of the three of us comes in last place in our fantasy league, what our punishment should be.
That's a great
we won't punish the new people, but if one of the three of us is last,
fair enough. And I am not like I would get a tattoo. I'm just going to say that right now. I am not against getting a tattoo. I have no shame in that.
I am.
So, okay. Fair enough.
And I'm not shaving my head.
No, we won't do that
right now. We won't see this long, beautiful hair. Don't touching it.
The locks are untouchable.
You'll go on my grudge list.
We're going to make Dan shave his beard. How about that? Dan, I don't think I've ever seen Dan without a beard.
It's been a couple of years, and there was the last time it happened is because I was trimming it up on my own, mistake number one, and slipped, and so I had to take the whole thing off. And I come out of the bathroom, and my dog immediately starts barking at me. So it's been a while, but that's fine. Listen, it grows so quickly. I'll play. I'll take one for the team if I end up finishing last. We can do that. We can make that happen.
I don't know what that's like, Dan. I don't know what that's like. I wasn't blessed with the ability. It's just raggedy, like a Brillo pad. Sometimes it's awful. Yeah. Anyway, that's a little something about me. You do have
we have to go play a round of golf with like children's like Fisher Price golf clubs.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
but
or
like
just a
at an
children's set of
expensive,
clubs.
but like at an expensive course to where it's like, I just paid all this money and now I'm going to like use these like children's golf clubs.
And you have to get like paired up with a random.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like it. We'll talk more about it next week, folks. Stay well, play well. If you're still playing, be kind to one another.